As the 2021 season is now drawing to a close, I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at 5 current NHL captains that could, for various reasons, not be wearing the C for their respective teams for the start of next season. Whether it be a contract running out, health-related reasons, or being traded prospectively, captaincy on a handful of teams could take a very different turn here shortly. And with that, here are 5 NHL captains that may be losing their captaincy before next season. Since the start of his NHL career, Ryan Getzlaf has had quite the tenure in Orange County. From winning the Stanley Cup in 2007 to shattering multiple franchise records, the captain has been the foundational part of the Ducks team for quite some time. But as the culture is beginning to shift, as younger homegrown talent has been able to trickle in on the roster, the forward has slowly been moved down on the roster from previously centering the first line to playing on the wing on the fourth. As for the very first time since his sophomore season, Getzlaf has been averaging less than 17 minutes per game, a trend that had begun to present itself last season as well. This situational scenario, paired with the fact that his contract expires this summer, leaving him a pending UFA currently, could very well cause the soon-to-be 36-year-old to either retire or decide to move on. A discussion, according to Ducks GM Bob Murray, already took place shortly before the trade deadline, as Getzlaf, according to Murray, approached him, willing to move on, and give his okay on a trade if it would have benefited the team long term. Getzlaf and I had numerous discussions about his future, and to his credit, most of the discussions were about the future of the organization, Murray says. He came to me and said, look, if you think there's something here that will help us tremendously going forward, he would have gone somewhere. He would have done it. As we narrowed it down and talked, but it just wasn't there, he says. Therefore, knowing all of this information, if a deal were to present itself, possibly in the offseason, it's very probable that the captain would take a move out of selflessness for his franchise shortly. For Steven Stamkos, who came into the league as a talented goal scorer, as he currently, along with Alex Ovechkin, is one of 2 players since 1996 to score 60 goals in a single season. But despite his knack for finding the net, Stamkos has been sidelined repeatedly due to various injuries. As the 2-time Rocket Richard winner, has only been able to play a full season without injury a handful of times out of the 13 seasons in which he's represented the Bolts. With the flat cap and gymnastics that GM Julien Brisebois is already going to have to do in the offseason, with several pending RFAs and UFAs to sign, is it possible that Stamkos could be persuaded similarly to the Getzlaf situation and asked to waive his no-move clause? The captain is currently in the middle of a lengthy 8-year contract valued at $68 million with a $8.5 million price tag. Therefore, Brisebois, who is a relatively new GM in Florida, could try and move the contract in order to free up space and bring in more reliable offensive talent to the team. Definitely the most mysterious situation on this list is that of 3-time Stanley Cup champs Jonathan Toews, as Toews has been forced to watch his team as a spectator this season due to experiencing symptoms that have left him lethargic and drained. While some reports have indicated that he could be returning for next season, knowing the strangeness of the situation and few real details that have surfaced regarding his health, the captain could be forced to hang up the skates prematurely in his career. With 2 more seasons remaining on his contract, valued at 10.5 AAV, it's possible that Toews could be the next player from the previous Dynasty team that GM Stan Bowman tries to run out of town, as he was guilty of sparking outrage earlier in the season by shipping Brandon Saad off to Colorado without consulting the captain or Patrick Kane. Hopefully for Toews, though, he'll be able to get back to on-ice action, longtime team, here sooner rather than later. Yes, we are talking about Jack Eichel again, and in case you're just tired of it, if you're a consistent viewer of my content, I'll be sure to put the timestamp where the broken record talk ends. Anyways, if you're an NHL fan that has the internet, you pretty much already have an idea of why Jack Eichel's here, as the poorly managed team in Sabres land hasn't been able to appease Eichel when it comes to remaining in the win column or even making the playoffs for that matter. The captain, out of his entire tenure as a Sabre, has yet to know what playoff hockey feels like. This, paired with the increased interest in Eichel on the market, could all create the perfect recipe that allows the forward finally be put out of his misery and to be moved elsewhere. Eichel, who is about to finish his 3rd year on his 8-year contract valued at $80 million with an AAV of 10, despite carrying the highest cap hit on the team, however, number 9 doesn't have any sort of trade clause that kicks in on the deal until 2022. Once the offseason approaches, It wouldn't surprise me personally if GM Kevin Adams shows his inexperience yet again by jumping at one of the first packages that approaches on his doorstep, similarly to, the Taylor Hall exchange. Similarly to Buffalo, the Calgary Flames haven't had the season that they would have hoped for, despite a recent resurgence. And with lots of disappointment for fans to go around that's been lingering for season upon season now, it's pretty obvious that GM Brad Treliving will be going to work this summer as he tries to fix his team, something that he already got a head start on this deadline as he traded off previous starter David Rittich to Toronto. Aside from possibly looking to move core players such as Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan, another name that may come up on his radar could be that of longtime captains Mark Giordano's, as a defenseman who has been a cornerstone for the franchise since coming into the league, has been an integral part of the Flames culture. Therefore, if Treliving is really wanting to shake things up, trading Giordano, who has one more year left on his deal, along with a modified no-trade clause, could be the answer. But one thing that could definitely dictate Giordano's future is the status of head coach Daryl Sutter. As Sutter, who not only served as a head coach previously during Giordano's tenure in Calgary, but also as a GM as well. Therefore, knowing the rapport that he's formed with the captain over time, it could prompt him to try and persuade Treliving to keep number 5 after all.